Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to give you a book review of this book right here. It's called Offbeat by Nick Diffatte. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. I'm going to read a little bit to you from some of the copy that promotes it, and then sort of give you my 2 cents on how the read was. So Nick is quickly becoming one of the most talked about and in-demand young comedians working today. His unique brand of entertainment seamlessly blends dry humor, quick wit, and incredible skill. His performances are presented with perfect comedic timing, far beyond his years, and a deadpan delivery that will have audiences laughing uncontrollably from beginning to end. So as you can see, he's promoting himself as a comedian. I've seen some of his work. I'm going to try to put some of his links down below so you can take a look. I think he's funny. I think he's clever. I think he's creative. I am not a comedic magician. I try to get some laughs. I try to blend some humor into my show, but I would never, ever classify myself as a comedy magician. I know Denny Haney used to try to move me in that direction. He used to say, and he's not the first to say it, but he used to say, "Yucks mean bucks, David. Yucks mean bucks." And of course what he meant by that is, if you can bring humor into your show, if you can get people to laugh, they will remember you, they will have a good time, they will like you, and they will want to have you back. So there is certainly an advantage to doing comedy magic, but in this book, there are 16 different routines. All of them are clever, all of them are original. Some of them have a mentalist slant to them. I actually purchased the book because in the advertisements that I was reading, he said that he had a very clever routine, which is based on the Keys to Bald Plate by Dellman. The 7-key routine, you probably are familiar with it. Basically what happens if you're not familiar with it is you have a lock that only one key will open. You mix 7 keys up. The spectators select a key or eliminate keys, and the one key left is the one that opens the lock. Lots and lots of variations of that have happened since Dellman introduced it to the Magic Fraternity. And he has a very clever application of that using handcuffs and a volunteer from the audience. Very clever. The other routine that I didn't know was in here, I'm also very fond of the bank night theme. I love the bank night theme, and I've tried for years and years to try to come up with a way to present a bank night idea without insulting the audience. And what I mean by that is, in the traditional bank night, and again this is Dellman, I believe, in the traditional bank night, you have envelopes. It might be 7, might be 5, but you have envelopes, one of which contains a banknote or money, $20, $50, $100, whatever it might be. The others are some kind of gag prize, or they're empty, or they contain some piece of paper or something like that. So the feeling is, at the end of the routine, the magician has the money and everybody else doesn't. Now, inherently, that is I win, you lose. And that's not what you want to do when you're presenting anything to your audience. You don't want to create a climax that results in I got to keep the money and you didn't. So I've been a long time looking for ways to do that isn't quite so insulting. And Nick has come up with a brilliant method. Without disclosing too much, because I don't want to give things away, but he uses a pack of gum. And he offers the spectator any choice, free choice of any stick of gum in the pack. They make their selection. It's the only true stick of gum. The rest of them either contain dollar bills or they contain razor blades. He has that option. Anyway, you can set this up so that The other, as long as it fits in a stick of gum, you can put literally anything in there. So the two routines that he presents in here, one of them is that every other stick of gum has money, and the only one that doesn't is the one selected, or the one selected is a true stick of gum, but the rest of them are rusty blades or something like that. So those two routines are certainly worth the price of the book, especially if you have a mentalist bend. But there's so much other work in the book. One of the trends that I love in recent magic books, you have a collection of material that is road tested. This gentleman is a worker. The routines in this book are practical. They pack flat, they play big, they get laughs, they're amusing, they're entertaining. Many of them are based on classics of magic, so you can't go wrong. But in the trend today, and I've seen this in a lot of different books that have come out in recent years, you present material and then you present an essay. And frankly, at my age and my level and what I'm doing, I love the essays even more than the routines. And Nick did not disappoint. He provided, let me tell you what the statistics is. 16 road-tested routines, 9 essays. He presented 9 essays in this book, all of which are absolutely fantastic. Let me give you a little bit of history on Nick. At the age of 23, Nick has already been featured performer at the world-famous Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. He's appeared on The Late Late Show on CBS, appeared on the cover of Genie and Vanish magazines, won multiple awards for his magic and his comedy, has held multiple long-term residencies on the Las Vegas Strip, headlined on the Disney Cruise Line, and has performed multiple shows at casinos, comedy clubs, and corporate events internationally. So that is the person that you're investing in when you pick up this book. Now, let me just give you a few reasons to purchase. Let me show you this right here. This is the way the book is illustrated. Excellent photographs, step-by-step photographs giving you every inch of the routine that's explained in the book. I love that kind of illustration. There's nothing wrong with artist drawings the way Tarbell is, if Tarbell is full of that. But to get real photographs here, I just enjoyed it. This is the start of the routine right here. You get that kind of illustration. Let me give you another example. This would be his keys to bald plate routine right there, with the handcuff pictured. And if I flip down here a little bit more, you can see once again he's giving you a step-by-step illustration as he gives you the instructions on how to perform the effect. So I think that's a really nice feature of the book. Another nice feature of the book is that it doesn't come with a dust jacket that slips off. Personally, I prefer this. I prefer to have the dust jacket more or less embedded in the hardcover book. I buy books not to collect, not to sit on the shelf. I buy books to, I don't know if you saw this, let me show you this. I buy books to highlight and write notes in and use. That's why I buy a book. And so the dust jacket, I could take the extra time to put sort of a library binding on it, but I don't do that. I more or less take the dust jacket off because they just get destroyed anyway, the way I use a book. So I really appreciate the way this book was manufactured. I enjoyed it very much. It's a quick read. I read this book probably in half a day. I read the whole book. So let me give you a few highlights. He's got a chapter in here called Funny, in which he makes the case, don't try to be funny if you're not. Not everyone was born to be a comedic magician. Let me share something with you. Now he's talking about when you're working from a script, and we all should be really working from a script, but it should be a script that we've written and it's very personal to us. When we're using lines from somebody else, when we're borrowing or stealing material that way. He says, and I quote, they being the audience, they know these lines aren't really you. There's something inauthentic about it. He says, and I quote, the goal of art should be to discover and develop your own strengths. Over here. I love this quote too. He says, when you come to that realization, the realization that nobody knows you better than you know yourself, when you come to that realization and truly look inward, the material will start to flow. So the essays are outstanding. Now to give you something to sort of wet your whistle in this material, he's got a routine in here called You've Got Fail, F-A-I-L, You've Got Fail. A named card, any card at all, that is named by an audience member appears in a sealed envelope. Nice routine. There's another chapter, it's an essay entitled How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Bomb meaning I did a bad job on stage. And here he says, don't be afraid to fail. You know, I mean, this goes back to Edison, who said, you know, I haven't failed. I've just discovered X number of ways that it won't work. And that's basically what geniuses do. They go through a succession of failures, persisting all the way until they get to the gold. And that's part of the creative process if you're doing original creative magic. So he has that section on not being afraid to fail. I love it. Key to freedom, we talked about that. That's the bald plate illusion. Stick of gum. And shtick is spelled S-H-T-I-C-K. Stick of gum is the bang night routine that I think is worth the price of the book. So it's just fantastic. Trends and traps, where he argues that you should be doing your own thing and avoiding trends. Remember, when you see a routine that's advertised on Penguin or any of the other Vanish, any of those other big magic dealers, when you're seeing that, hundreds of other magicians are buying it and performing it too. So he's advocating to avoid the trends, do your own thing, be original, be creative. Double date. Double date is another one I want to call your attention to. It is a sort of a Koran medallion routine, but it goes beyond that. So very creative medallion. I will probably perform double date or some variation of it, and stick of gum or some variation of it. Now, how many books have you purchased where you can say there's 2 routines in that book that I plan to do? Well, you know what? I'm very happy with the book. I'm very happy with the routines. I think it was a fun read because his humor comes through in the book. I love the essays. Don't miss it. Offbeat by Nick Diffatte. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Please comment down below. I love your comments. Have a great day.